Great honor to welcome to the show the former ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, and his new book, One Jewish State, The Last Best Hope to Resolve the Israeli-Palestinian Conflict. And he joins me now live on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Mr. Ambassador, thanks so much for joining us here in Philadelphia. How are you?
Thank you. It's great to be with you. Philadelphia is a great city.
Sometimes depends on how you define great. Food-wise,
Yeah,
yes. Quality of life, But anyway, football team-wise, yes. And we're excited for our home opener tomorrow night. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, you wrote this book. I apologize. I've not had a chance to read it yet, but obviously this is on everybody's minds. And we would like to see an end to this conflict once and for all. We also don't want to see America obviously dragged into another long war. So how do we resolve it?
Well, obviously, I concur with both of those goals, and I don't think Israel would ever ask America to join a battle. I mean, it's not Israel's culture to do that. Not their goal.
That's very
Look,
important. If I could, Ambassador, let's just touch on that for a moment, because I think it's important for people to know that. There's a lot of people online. It's this toxic cesspool of people that spew hatred for Israel online, and a lot of them are constantly accusing Israel of trying to drag America into a boots-on-the-ground war.
Yeah, no, look, there's not only is there, I mean, that is absolutely against the ethos of Israeli society and the Israeli army. In fact, they have a phrase: "We defend ourselves by ourselves," right? And that's their goal. They believe they don't deserve to be a state if they can't defend themselves by themselves. Now, people will say, "Well, what about Iran?" Well, Iran was a unique circumstance in which it was a joint enemy, both of the United States and of Israel, and there was a particular nuclear reactor that only America had the wherewithal to destroy. And so I thought, an incredibly ballsy move by both Netanyahu and Trump. Right? They each used the best of their intelligence and the best of their equipment to take out, a nuclear facility that threatened the world and especially threatened America and Israel. But short of that, and that was the first time it ever happened, by the way, that there was a joint military effort. Short of that, Israel's been through lots of wars, lots of battles over the years, almost every few years. Never ever asked the United States to risk one soldier's life, and they never will. So, that still begs the question. We all want the battle to end anyway, and we want it to end well. And the thesis of my book is, trying to push a Palestinian state is just trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Look, we had a Palestinian state in Gaza, right? There hasn't been a Jew or an Israeli in Gaza since 2005. They were given this territory, the Palestinians. It's 23 miles along the Western Mediterranean. It's pretty hard to find a good vacation spot where you can sit on the Mediterranean and watch the sunset. Gaza's got 23 miles of it, right? And they got when they got control of it, when Israel gave control of it to the Palestinians, they got billions of dollars. Unfortunately, some of it from America, but some of it from the UN, some of it from the Gulf, but billions of dollars. They didn't spend a penny investing in the lives of their people, in schools and education and healthcare, in commerce and business and roads and in hotels. They built this massive web of terror tunnels, and they built weapons of mass destruction. And every couple of years, they shoot them indiscriminately into Israeli population centers. So, Israel was kind of managing that for years and years and years. There were these skirmishes. And then finally, October 7th happened. It's October 7th, 2023, the worst attack against Jews since the Holocaust. And Israel said, okay, enough, that's it, no more. And we're in the middle of a war. And fortunately, we're actually not in the middle of the war. We're actually at the end of the war. I mean, the war is not going to last more than a couple more months. They have their last stronghold right now in Gaza City, and hopefully Hamas will be destroyed, which is, frankly, a blessing for the whole world, mostly a blessing for the Palestinians, because as Israel attacks Hamas attacks its own people. It starves them. It uses them as human shields. It hides behind them, all with the goal towards creating this narrative that Israel is killing civilians because they can't win a war, but maybe they can win the PR fight. And actually, they've done pretty well on the PR fight. I mean, they've that was their strategy. Get as many dead bodies on the cover of newspapers, and that's how we'll win the war. Look, this used to work. Okay, it's not going to work anymore. I mean, Israel's just had it. I mean, they've had it. This has been going on year after year after year, and at this point, the country wants this to never happen again. You can't end this war without telling the people that live near Gaza you can go to sleep at night and not get woken up with terrorist attacks. So it's almost over. It's been a war. people have been killed. I assume a whole bunch of innocent people have gotten killed. You show me a war where that hasn't happened. To the extent people want to really delve into it, and maybe they will one day, they'll understand that Israel's actually done a better job in urban warfare of sparing civilian lives than in history, and that was a study done by West Point. But the war's got to end, and then the question is, what do we do next? And that's where my book comes in, really, on the question of what do you do next. And the whole theory of my book is this: we've tried for 75 years to give the Palestinians their own state. They're just not up to the task. No one's going to do it again. It tried and failed. It tried in Gaza. There are sections now in the West Bank where the Palestinians have complete control, and they have a. People don't realize this. They have a law, the Palestinian Authority, which is supposed to be the better, the better group of Palestinians. They have a pension system where they reward people for killing Jews. If you kill Jews, you get a higher pension than if you don't. And if you wound them, you get. I mean, it's incredible. It's the most cynical thing you've ever seen. But they reward people for committing acts of terror. So look, there's no, and there has not emerged with many years of efforts to try to do it. There's never emerged a Palestinian leadership that will renounce terror. So my theory is this: inside of Israel, right now, 20% of Israel, inside the Green Line, inside what everybody recognizes Israel to be, inside 20% Arabs, right? 20% of the country is Arabs. They're Arab citizens, right? And more than 20% of the students at all the elite universities, Haifa, Tel Aviv, Technion, really top-notch schools, more than 20% are Arabs. The Arabs within Israel have risen to the highest levels of medicine, law, business, commerce. A friend of mine used to be the chairman of the largest bank in Israel. He's a Muslim. Israel knows how to empower a minority. Israel's a democracy. Israel's a real country. None of these countries are even real countries that surround Israel. I mean, they're all monarchies that are being propped up by the United States just to kind of keep things from getting worse. So my theory is, people yell, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. My theory is, from the river to the sea, let it all be sovereign Israel. It will provide the best opportunity. It may take years to de-radicalize the population, but it'll create the best opportunity for human dignity, for prosperity, for opportunity for everyone. And it also, again, this is something some people care about, some people don't. I don't purport to ask people to believe or not believe in anything, but this land that we're talking about with the Palestinians. This is land that is the subject of a grant, of a covenant by God to the Jewish people in the Bible. And it's to Abraham, it's to Isaac, it's to Jacob, it's in the prophecies of Isaiah and Ezekiel and Jeremiah. So a lot of people, who care about the Bible, and it still sells, 2,000 copies an hour. It's still a big bestseller, the Bible. It also happens to fulfill the grant of land that God gave. But whether it does or not, it's the best outcome for all the people, and for the security of all the people as well.
The book, the other book, not the Bible, was One Jewish State, The Last Best Hope to Resolve the Israeli-Palestinian Conflict. David Friedman, former United States ambassador to Israel, is the author and my guest. Now, there are people listening to that going, but how do you achieve that without a massive amount of bloodshed? And how do you achieve that without then, the people who are saying Israel's committing genocide are right then?
Well, look, first of all, this plan doesn't contemplate killing anybody. God forbid. I mean, it's not about killing people. It's not about forcing people to leave their homes. People get to stay wherever they are right now. Wherever somebody is, they get to stay put. And by the way, let's leave Gaza aside right now, because it's so raw and it's so dynamic, that my book really is written about the larger Palestinian population in the West Bank. But everybody stays forever. Everybody's got permanent title to their properties. It's no longer governed subject to military to military rule. It's just everybody just stays put, and they get to keep what they got. And the only thing they can't do is to somehow try to exercise their rights to deprive Israel of being a Jewish state. And my argument is, look, there's 22 Muslim states that are absolutely Muslim. Now, you wouldn't want to live there if you're not Muslim. I mean, they're really unpleasant places to live, with a few exceptions. Here, we just want Israel to be a Jewish state run by Jews. It doesn't with regard to every other aspect of it. you would be the Palestinians, the Muslims, the Christians, the Jews. It would be invisible in terms of every right to be in business, to own property, to travel. It would be the same for everybody. But this would be a Jewish state. England is an Anglican state. America's not. I mean, for Americans, this is kind of hard to swallow because we have a First Amendment. It was created under the idea that there wouldn't be a national religion. But most countries are not like that, and almost no Muslim country is like that. And so the book just says, look, just one Jewish state. That's it. We just have one Jewish state on the territory where Jews have the greatest historical claim of title than any people anywhere in the world. That's it, just one, and it's tiny. It's the size of New Jersey. So that's the. But with regard, apart from it being a Jewish state, no bloodshed. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, if the bloodshed is caused by people who want to start a war, that's different. But the idea would be that this would involve a real plan to empower every single human being living in this contested territory, Jew, Muslim. Their religion would be invisible to the government. That would be irrelevant to people inside the government. And I think Israel's the only country that can do that. They do it already with regard to their Arab citizens that they have now. They can continue to expand that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people listening don't realize that about how many Arab citizens there are in Israel, because it's not something, again, the media talks about. Well, thank you. It sounds like a very, very intriguing book. I look forward to reading it. And thank you so much for joining us today, Ambassador. And I'll just ask you a last question before I let you go. Have you spoken to the president about your idea?
So let me. The answer is yes, but let me leave it at that. But the answer is
Understood.
Yes.
Understood. Well, pick up your copy today and read it and think critically about it. One Jewish State, the last best hope to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, wherever books are sold. David Friedman, former United States ambassador to Israel. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it very, very much. Best of luck with the book. Let's see if it does as well as the Bible, or at least, maybe we'll have 2,000 an hour, at least for a couple weeks. What do you think?
I'm there. I'm in.
All right.
Thank you,
sir.
Appreciate it.